Okay, they say discuss measure of an angle. So when they say discuss measure of an angle, first of all is measure of an angle can be in so many ways. So the person will be asking you, what are you exactly talking about? What angle are you talking about? So it's either this angle is at 90 degrees, more than 90 degrees, less than 90 degrees. Like you can see that this is 60 degrees somewhere here, 60 degrees, 60 degrees, and everything here should be 30 degrees, 30 degrees. That is still 60 degrees. So when this angle is between this, you now know that, okay, this simply means that you're talking about trigonometry. And we know that trigonometry is coined from the word triangle measurement. And we normally say that trigonometry is simply the branch of mathematics, that deals with the relationship between angles and the sides of a triangle. So but more especially, or particularly, especially right angle triangle. Why we normally use right angle triangle is that's angle equals to 90 degrees, and 90 is like in the middle of anything you're doing with angles. So if I know this is the definition of trigonometry. So now this trigonometry now that we have, we'll now look at it in this way. When we are dealing with trigonometry, it's either we are dealing with trigonometry of right angle or angle less than or above 90. And when it's equals to 90 degrees, you now know that what you are using is sine theta equals to opposite over hypotenuse, cos theta equals to adjacent over hypotenuse, and tan theta equals to opposite over adjacent. That is for 90 degrees. So you can see this now. And if this is the case, when it is more than 90 or less than 90, you don't use this rule. You don't use this SOHCAHTOA principle again. SOHCAHTOA principle again. You don't use it. Rather, what you now use once is less than 90 or above 90 is now what we call sine rule or cos rule or tan rule. So for sine rule, you just say that it is the same thing as saying sine A. That is the A you have here all over the corresponding lengths, which is A. That is opposite length. So equals to B, sine B. That is the angle here, sine B all over the corresponding length, which is B, equals to this C all over the corresponding length, which is sine C all over the corresponding length. So once the angle is above 90 or less than 90, you are using the rules of sine or cos, of sine or cos. But when the angle is equals to 90, you are using SOHCAHTOA. So when I have this now, to do it for cos, so now for the cos part, we use cosine rule. So which is cosine rule. If you remember from general secondary school knowledge, they'll tell you r square, that is the hypotenuse, is equals to x square plus y square minus 2xy cos theta, or you say cos r, because the r is what you're considering here. So if you remember those days secondary school where they tell you about parallelogram law, if you remember something like this, they tell you that arrow here, that the law of parallelogram means is parallel, the sides are equal. This is equal to this, and the angle you are using is the one that is here. This is the theta. So if I know this using the same principle, now let's say I now have a, this is the one we are using to consider, because this angle is more than 90. So once the angle is more than 90 or more than 180 or more than or less than 90, you are using sine rule or cosine rule. While if it's 90, you're using our SOHCAHTOA. So if I know this, let me still go back to the triangle I'm considering, which is this. So using this triangle I'm considering now, this particular law is the general law, and it's gotten from this parallelogram law rule, which is 180 minus theta or theta. So if I go back to this triangle now, I will now see that if I'm looking for A, now, what I'll be considering is the sides, because notice that this is the hypotenuse part of this. So what I'll be considering in this is, if it's a I'm looking for, it will be a square is equals to, because this a is equals to this angle, I already know it. So if it's the side, which means that we normally make use of this cosine rule when what we have in mind is to find sides. When what we have in mind is to find sides, when there is an angle and we are finding sides, any of the sides. So we now say a square is equals to b square plus c square minus 2bc cos a. And you know that this a here is simply the angle here, that is cos theta, which is 30 plus 30, which is 60. So if it's b I'm looking for now, let's say I'm looking for the side of b square will now be equals to, that is this side, b square will be equals to a square plus c square minus 2ac cos b. And the b I'm talking about here, when I hear this b, it means the angle theta, the angle that I know already. I know. Now if it's c I'm looking for the side of c, which is this side. So how you think of this, how you're able to know this, is that you first of all place your eyes on this c and place your eyes on this b. This is the hypotenuse part, and this side, small small c, small b is equivalent to small a. So if you know it, it means that when you are looking for these sides, this is the rule you use. And how do you know it? You first equate it to this formula, because this arrow here is for hypotenuse. So hypotenuse square is equals to whatever is equals to this other sides, then minus 2a or minus 2 whatever that is there, that is available to you, the sides that are available. So c square is equals to a square plus b square minus 2ab cos c. And this cos c we are talking about is the angle. That is why I said theta here. So if I know this is the sine rule and the cosine rule. Is important. So when they ask you measure of angle, they're asking you what can be done, or what can you do in order to measure either the angle or get the sides of a particular triangle, be it right angle, be it obtuse, be it acute, be it reflex. But whenever you hear measure of angle, it's talking about what can you use in order to identify what you don't have when it comes to trigonometry. So if I know this, now remember that there's another one which we call the tan rule, and this tan rule is only used when, or I say particularly is used when you know that the angle given is 90 degrees. So we normally say that tan theta is equals to sine theta over cos theta. That's the rule. Or you say y over x. This is also the same thing as your slope in mathematics. So we'll still do more work on this as we progress. But for measure of an angle, I just want you to have this in mind. So first of all, what trigonometry is, because that's the main topic that deals with angle relationship and sides of a triangle. Then the next thing is to now check when the angle is right angle or when it's acute or above 90. So then you apply the rules, apply the formulas. So the next thing that we'll get to is now the three identities, because just like I mentioned here, I mentioned just three. I mentioned 1, 2, and 3. But notice this is not all. It's actually 6 of them. There are actually 6 of them. And whenever you have all these tricks used for right angle, and you are now putting it together to make a relationship, we'll call it the standard identities. We also have double identities, and we also have the half angle identities. But we've not gotten to identities. For now, it's just getting to know all these things. So a situation whereby any of these that I have now, I'm seeing maybe hypotenuse being up, it simply means that what I'm now doing is cosecant. So the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th is simply when I have 1 over sine theta. That is what we call cosecant or cosec. And when I have 1 over cos theta, that is what we call secant or sec. And when I have 1 over tan theta, that is what we call cotangent, or you call it cot. It's not time for me to start doing this, but I just feel you should know it in case. And you know that if 1 over sine theta, if sine theta is hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse, simply means that 1 over it is inverse, that is hypo over opposite. The same thing with the secant. So if cos theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, it simply means that secant will be hypotenuse over adjacent. The same thing with tan. If I know that tan is opposite of adjacent, it simply means that it will be the same thing as adjacent over opposite. Or I can say that if tan theta is sine theta over cos theta, it means that cotangent cot theta will be the same thing as saying cos theta. Cot theta will be the same thing, that is cotangent theta will be the same thing as saying cos theta over sine theta. So I think one of the things that will happen as we progress with this course is that there is this need to pay attention to every details, because there are so much or so many things under this topic. So that's why it looks as if it's complex. It contains a lot of sub elements, subtopics, but as we go through it, we'll try our best to see that we put everything in order in this class. So for the next one, the next class will be on the units of angle measurements, how to convert from radians to degrees, degrees to radians, and then how to know when you are using the pi divided by 6 going around, or pi divided by 4 going around. So that will be our next class. Thank you.